My name is Rachel Gaduli, and I am the Assistant Extension Director for 4-H Youth Development, or as some people know me, the Head Clover. But I'm excited that you're here in our annual update. Our goal with this annual update is that we're going to be able to give you just an overview of what's happened on the state level, some information that may be useful for you to take back, ask your agent about it, or about how you can get more information about the things that I'm talking about today. Our intention was that this would get everyone hopefully moving forward in alignment. We took away the 2 hours of recredentialing for our certified leaders, and our goal is that everyone, not just certified leaders, everyone will go through this annual update. We're recording this today, and it will be posted online for those who could not be here in person to listen through this update. Every year will be a little bit of different information. Earlier today, I talked a lot about positive youth development and the 4-H thriving model. During this session specifically, I'm going to talk about resources that we have been working through, and then some highlights of our program accomplishments last year, which you all helped us implement across the state. So I am happy to answer your questions as well as we go through. If you do have those, please just let me know if you do have questions. About a year and a half ago now, when I really was getting started in this new role as program leader, I initiated an external review of our 4-H programming to ensure that we are meeting the needs of our clientele across the state. That includes 4-H agents, that includes volunteers, our young people, our communities. This review was from the state level, the state office. We did the external review, and then we did community conversations across the state to ensure that we were meeting the needs of our people. Some of you may have participated in those community conversations. My hope is that we're going to be able to do those every other year so we can keep a pulse of what's happening across the state. As I mentioned earlier today, it's imperative that we as a youth development organization, we ebb and flow with our young people and meet them where they are. Our young people are rapidly changing. Our environment, our world is rapidly changing, and we have to be ready to rapidly change as well. And so while we're thinking about the why of 4-H and we're thinking about how we move our programming forward, we also have to think, how do we meet the needs of our young people and where they are? So through the external review and the community conversations last year, there were themes that came out of that in which I have used as a guided post for us at the state level and to help provide resources for our county level as well for you as volunteers to utilize. So those themes were, we needed to develop a communication plan, and we needed to ensure that we were getting information out to our people in a timely manner. We needed to evaluate and clarify roles and responsibilities of our state 4-H staff, our 4-H agents, our volunteers. We needed to evaluate our access to resources. How do our volunteers access resources? How do our agents access resources? So you have curriculum, approved curriculum to use, or resources to use when you're putting together a club lesson or you're putting together a club meeting. So we wanted to really evaluate the access to resources. The other one is development of resources. So ensuring that if there is not a resource out there that you can use as a volunteer, that we are either finding it within the knowledge base of Extension across the nation, or we're developing it here in Kentucky. Marketing resources, making sure that we are telling the 4-H story and we're telling it effectively. That was one of the top themes as well. And the last one is customer service, making sure that we are there for our people, that we have a high standard of customer service for you as our volunteers and also for our agents. As you all may know or may not know, the state 4-H office provides resources and direction for the overall program, and our agents translate that to the local needs and the local impact. So a couple of resources and operations highlights that we were able to create and push out this year. The first one is the Kentucky 4-H Program Quality Guide. If you haven't had an opportunity to check that out, it is on our website, and then your agents also have this resource, but this is, I was asked over and over when I first started, Where is this resource? Where is that resource? What's the age limit? What is classified as a junior 4-H'er? What's a senior 4-H'er? What's our cross-county lines policy? We have compiled all of that along with our county programming expectations, and it's all within the Kentucky 4-H Program Quality Guide. So if you have a question, it's more than likely in there, and we're happy to walk through that with you. There are also fact sheets that if you are interested after you leave here today, if you're interested in going back with your 4-H council or talking with your other leaders about these are the things that we're looking at from a state perspective that we need to implement here, we have those resources available as well. Your 4-H agent, your local extension personnel have access to those. We created the Kentucky 4-H target graphic. Again, I was asked over and over, what does it all mean? What's the big picture? How do you explain 4-H? It's a really, really large concept for people who may not have ever accessed 4-H. So we created the 4-H target graphic that explains the holistic approach of our overall programming and keeping young people at the center of what we do. So if you have not had an opportunity to look at that resource, I went over it in our opening session, but that resource is available for you on our website as well on the What is 4-H. You can click on that tab, and the program quality guide and the target graphic is there as well. This is also a really great resource to utilize in your local community as you're trying to recruit other volunteers, because I know sometimes it's hard to explain 4-H to people who haven't had an opportunity to engage with 4-H yet, so you can utilize that as a resource. We created the Kentucky 4-H roles and responsibilities chart. This explains what my role is. It explains what the specialist roles are, what 4-H agents' role is, volunteers, our Kentucky 4-H Foundation, and our camp. We're a large, huge system. Again, that's sometimes very hard to explain. We clarified all of that, and that is available for you on our website under the What is 4-H tab as well, if you're interested in looking at what those roles and responsibilities are. We also created a standard evaluation for 4-H programming. One of the hardest things sometimes is sharing our impact, because what we do as 4-H, we don't see an immediate impact many times. Many times it takes years to develop a young person to where we're seeing a behavior change or a long-term impact. And so one thing that we wanted to really try to narrow in on is how can we tell the immediate impact story? And so through our standard evaluation of 4-H programming, which our agents have access to this, after 6 hours of education, which is our standard of involvement, 6 hours of education to be able to participate in a cumulative event for 4-H. After that involvement, young people and volunteers, there's evaluation for each of these to evaluate communication, leadership, and civic engagement. Those are our 3 essential skills in which we have identified as markers that we want all young people to experience the development of through 4-H. So this standard evaluation helps us tell our story better. We have the way that we interpret communication, leadership, and civic engagement. We translate that into workforce-ready skills. And it is important for us to ensure that we are creating a workforce ready to lead through 4-H. And we do that through the high-quality positive youth development programs that you all are implementing across the state. We also, if you haven't already gotten the volunteer monthly, the quarterly newsletter, I would love for you to get that. We're trying to ensure that our agents and our volunteers receive a monthly and quarterly newsletter. So our agents get a monthly newsletter talking about all the happenings on what's going on across the state. We also do a volunteer newsletter. And if you haven't received that, that means that we don't have a email in our 4-H online system that's accurate for you. So if you have never seen the update, the 4-H volunteer quarterly update from the state office, check in with your 4-H agent. Make sure they have an accurate email in 4-H online for you, because that's how we send out that update. It has highlights. We'll be sending one after Volunteer Forum about highlights from Volunteer Forums, ways that you can continue to engage. We've included pieces about the program quality guide and some of the framework conversations around positive youth development, but this is a quarterly newsletter directly to our volunteers. So check with your 4-H agent if you have not received that. Make sure they have an accurate email in 4-H online for you. We have updated the website. Our website is We have tried to keep it evergreen. There are pieces of the website that we're still updating. We know that we need to have a shooting sports tab. We know that we need to have a state fair tab. And Kentucky Volunteer Forum already had its own tab. So we're working still through the transition. The university transitioned the website platform. It took us a little while to get our website up and going, so there are lots of broken links on our old website. So we're working to get that updated. But it is a more evergreen website. So if you do go to the website, it is if you go to the website, there are PDFs for each of our core program areas or project areas, and you can find that, and it's an overview. If you need specific resources, at the end of this today, I'm going to show you a new resource that just rolled out yesterday. We do now have a Kentucky 4-H website on Shop 4-H. It is categorized by our core program areas in Kentucky, and you can go, there's a specific link that we sent out yesterday, and we'll be putting it in the volunteer newsletter. But if you use that link, some of the proceeds come back to Kentucky, and we can reinvest into our counties through our state programs. But if you go to that website, it's all categorized by our core program areas. If you click on one of the core program areas, it pulls up all the approved curriculum. So that was one of the things that we heard from our volunteers is we need access to our curriculum. So that is where you can go and find that approved curriculum for every single project or every single core program area that we have in Kentucky. If there is not a national 4-H curriculum for that, it will direct you back to where the resources are on our website. So for example, Country Ham is a very big project in Kentucky. It's not nationally. So there isn't a curriculum out there. I really want us to be the ones to do that and sell it for us. But there's not one nationally. So that if you click that on that website, it's going to direct you back to the animal and food science page where all of our Country Ham resources are. So that is a way that we're trying to ensure that our volunteers have access, public access to the curriculum which we have approved for use in Kentucky. And I say approved for use because we should be utilizing approved curriculum for 4-H, ensuring that it is research-based from our Cooperative Extension Service, from our land-grant institutions across the nation. We have focused on our marketing resources. We're continuing to work on this. We've provided a lot of work around templates for our agents to utilize to really push out a general marketing theme for Kentucky 4-H. It is a work in progress, but you will see we have increased our activity on Facebook and social media, or Facebook and Instagram. So if you don't follow us on either of those, please follow us on those two platforms because you can directly share what we have put up, and you can directly share it to your own or to your county, whatever you're using, because it meets all the guidelines that we need to make sure that we're following. And so we encourage you to follow those and share from those social media sites. Also, this is new. There's a full virtual orientation for volunteers. So when a volunteer applies to become an approved volunteer in Kentucky 4-H, we encourage them to go through an orientation. All volunteers should go through this orientation, and every county is responsible for that orientation themselves, so how they're implementing it in your county may look different than it may be implemented in the next county, but we have created this evergreen virtual orientation so that every volunteer goes through it and everyone's on the same page about the baseline standards of being a volunteer in Kentucky. We heard a lot of feedback of, well, why do certified leaders have to do this, but no one else has to do this? So we're encouraging everyone to do this orientation. It is on Nearpod. It's 11 short videos. The longest one is 8 minutes. So it's short, it's interactive, it's available at on your time. It's directed from your county agent, so they would assign you by an email that you've given them to take these Nearpod sessions. And then it gives a certificate at the end, and the agent can see if you've completed that. So this is a way that we can ensure that everyone's getting consistent information from the state level. So a couple of things that I'm super proud of, but before we go there, is there anything about these resources that I've gone over that anyone has questions about or needs me to clarify anything for you? Awesome. So a couple of things that I'm really proud of with Kentucky 4-H. This past year, our enrollment was up by 31,829 youth. We had over 170,000 young people enrolled in Kentucky 4-H in the last program year. That is amazing. That is so exciting to hear that young people are engaging in 4-H. We had over 65,000 young people in our club setting. That is also an excellent number because our clubs are where our young people are oftentimes having that long-term development, where they're getting those deeper developmental outcomes, or the top of the flower, if you remember the thriving model from this morning. We had our highest attendance in history for 4-H summer camp. We had over 13,000 people enter our gates through our 4-H camps this past summer. It was a wonderful summer. We're gearing up for our summer. We're already planning. It's a 365 process, so we're really proud of our camping program. I may be a little biased, but I really think I'm not. But I think we're the best in the nation in camping. We have worked really hard. Our agents have worked so hard. Our volunteers have worked hard. Our support across the system is just amazing with camp, so I'm really proud of that. We have had national placing teams in natural resources and animal science. This is super exciting. We want to ensure that our young people have opportunities in 4-H across the board, not just camp, not just clubs, but have opportunities to progress through experiences as well. So we're really, really proud of those young people who have placed in those national placings. Recently, we also had young people attend the Family Consumer Science National Contest out west. That this is for this coming program year, but I'm just telling you, they did really, really well, and it was our first time ever participating in that national contest. Our goal is to ensure that our state programs are aligning with national programs so our young people can have that pipeline to go to the national contest. So we had culinary as well as textiles. A member from the Fashion Leadership Board went to the national contest. So our hope is that we're going to continue that trajectory. For the first time in many years, we've only ever had 2 young people ever serve on the National 4-H Congress Design Team. It's extremely competitive. We had 1 youth member serve this past year on the National 4-H Congress Design Team, and we're really, really proud of that because it is so competitive. Kentucky has a national voice at the table, and it's really exciting. We have 2 young alumni on the National 4-H Advisory Council Committee. Last year was our very first ever in history, and then this past year we added another person to that. So Deja Hatchett and Morelia Falcon are our 2 representatives on that national committee. Again, it is extremely competitive, and I'm just really excited that Kentucky 4-H again has a voice at the table in all of these different pockets as national conversations are happening. Something that I did not put on here, but most recently, Dr. Laura Stevenson, who is our Extension Director, Associate Dean for the college, she serves on the National 4-H Board of Trustees. And that, again, is really awesome because, again, Kentucky has a voice at the table when big decisions are being made and discussed. And the perspective of our young people and our volunteers, they're being shared nationally. So it's really exciting to see our work in that national realm. We are excited also our partnership with the College of Social Work. Recently, in the last 2 years, there was a renewed commitment to land grant engagement from the President's Office at the University of Kentucky, and Dean Cox is the Vice President of Land Grant Engagement, who is also the Dean of the College of Agriculture and Food and Environment, which 4-H sits within that college. And we are encouraged to continue to look at partnerships and ways that we are creating a cohesive pathway to get research-based information to our communities, which is why Extension was started, why 4-H was started, and how to get information from our communities about the needs of our people back to the university. And recently, in the last year, we were able to implement the Behavioral Health Fellowship Partnership with the College of Social Work. And this is what I'm really, really proud of because we have 4 behavioral health fellows who will be living and working on campgrounds this summer. They are master's students in the College of Social Work, and they are getting their master's for free through this fellowship, which is the first of its kind across the nation. And we are leaders in that field. And I'm so proud of the work that we have done in that perspective, ensuring that our young people have the social, emotional, behavioral support that they may need when they go to camp. Some may never need it, and that's okay, but some may need it, and it may be the difference of having that person there. So we are so excited about that partnership. 3 of the 4 behavioral health fellows are all Kentucky 4-H alums, so we are very excited about that, and we're excited to see where this partnership is going to take us to the future. And then this past year, we developed Youth Strong, supporting youth and families in times of stress and disaster. If you haven't had an opportunity to see this resource, I encourage you to ask your 4-H agent for it. It is a adult youth combined workbook where we're working to help our young people cope and understand resiliency, but in a way that they have a caring adult alongside with them. Because what we found out, and oftentimes we don't know the conversations to be having. So this workbook is a really easy way to work through and develop how we can cope and work through feelings and thoughts when disaster happens or stress happens in a family. This was a direct result of the need of this resource and others from the tornadoes in West Kentucky and the flooding in the east. So this was our answer to a need. And our hope is to continue working and building capacity around how we're supporting our families in that area. And then finally, our Exploring 4-H workbook. This should be up on the website now under What is 4-H. This workbook is it's an introductory workbook. So you can print it off from that, or your 4-H agent has access to get it printed. And it's a way to help young people explore all the different aspects of 4-H, what each of our core program areas are, what things mean, because we all know it's hard to get into 4-H if you don't know the lingo. And to create more access to 4-H, we have to be willing and ready and prepared to help bring our young people along. So this is one of the ways that we hope to provide this resource to counties that may be trying to recruit new members. So the Exploring 4-H workbook, it's on the website under What is 4-H. So a couple of pieces about the focus on positive youth development. Earlier today, I talked a lot about we're trying to make sure that our system is in alignment as we move forward around positive youth development and the why behind what we're doing. And so a couple of points of pride this past year, we had over 24 H agents trained in the 4-H Thriving model through our Youth Development Institute in the 4-H Thriving Crash Course. This means that our agents are speaking the same language and that we are bringing it back to our community so we can ensure that we have that intentional design of programming across the state. We participated in the National 4-H Index Study. This is really exciting for me, especially because it's going to give me data that I can give to our legislators, that I can give to our administrators on the university side of why 4-H is important and why we should continue to fund it. So that is really big for us, especially in those places where we're advocating for you, for our young people, and for our overall program. We have 3 national 4-H Thriving Model champions who are contributing and making sure Kentucky's voice is shared across the nation on what we're doing to ensure high quality programming for our young people. And then we had 7 4-H professionals who participated in a recent National 4-H Thriving Academy focused on evaluation and then early career engagement. And I tell you all this because it's important for our volunteers to know that we have a commitment to the quality of our programming, and we have a commitment to ensure that we are staying up to date as professionals in meeting the needs of where our young people are. And our hope is that through the work that we are doing, right now we're building the capacity and knowledge within our own system, and our hope is that as we move forward, we're going to be able to start providing workshops and trainings for our volunteers within the 4-H Thriving model as well. So you can be on the lookout for that as we progress forward into the future. So, any questions about anything that I've gone over? Any questions at all about 4-H in general that you need answered during this time that we have together. Yeah?
You mentioned the FCS National Contest.
Mm-hmm.
I know you and I have emailed probably the well, you might remember. But now that sewing skillathon has been done away with, how does someone qualify for the textiles? What is the age to get into that national?
Yep. So I can't speak specifically to that. I will connect you to Isaac Hilp, who is our specialist for FCS, and he'll be able to give you the exact details on that. So I'll give you his information when we're finished. But his goal is that all of our state fair programs align directly to getting kids to that national contest. So whatever is at that national contest, that's what he's trying to move them forward.
So I'm assuming the culinary challenge winners, that's where they get.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's our hope, and that's something, just sharing my vision for Kentucky 4-H. We talk about progressive experiences. You earlier heard me talk about progressive experiences, and you all play such a vital role in those progressive experiences because you're helping those young people in the county gain the skills they need to be ready to move on to that area contest or that region contest or the state contest or national contest. So that's all part of our alignment as we're moving forward. Livestock has worked hard over the years, and a lot of that is lined to North American, and so we have that pathway for them. So our hope now is that we're getting these other core program areas to move into that direction where our young people can excel on the national level. And it will take time. Any other questions? Okay. Well, so this is just a piece of information of where, what's next, what's our goal, what's my goal for Kentucky 4-H as the program leader of 4-H. So we are currently in our phase two of a 5-year plan. We had the community conversations and the external review. We rolled out the program quality guide in September, and so that's where the timing of this really starts, is this past September. And my hope is that we're going to be able to be consistent for 5 years, and then in 5 years we're going to evaluate and see where we need to go next for the next 5 years. One thing that I've been in the system for a while now, and I continually hear, we need stability. We need stability. And that's my goal. I want to provide stability for our programming. I want to provide a clear direction for our programming and our organization as a whole. And so our first goal was the state office structure and getting some of these structural pieces out to you all so we can ensure that we're serving you to the best of our ability. And then now we're looking into the statewide programming evaluation. So you will be hearing, we may alter, adjust programming that we're providing on the state level to really talk about, that national, how are we building that pipeline for our young people from the county all the way through to potentially international opportunities. So we will be evaluating state level programming through our program quality guide and some of the expectations that we've set out within our high quality program principles in positive youth development. My hope is that for 3 years we'll be able to implement all the things that I've talked about, and we'll be able to be stable, and then we'll go through another review cycle to ensure that we're continually meeting the needs of where our people are. As an overall extension system, we will be going through the plan of work coming up this next year, and from the state office we will be providing resources for our agents to utilize as they're in conversations with you, our volunteers, to really ensure that you all have the resources you need to be able to provide the experiences your young people need locally. So that's something that you'll be hearing more and more about, bringing you to the table to share your voice about the pockets of communities that you're involved in across your community. And then finally, I want to end on 4-H as a community of young people across Kentucky learning communication, civic engagement, and leadership skills. So when someone asks you what 4-H is, you hopefully will be able to say this quick line. It is simple, easy, and those are the 3 essential skills we want all 4-Hers to graduate 4-H with. Thank you all so much for your time. If you do have questions, I'll be here, and I think we're right on time. So thank you all so much.